Our next presentation is from Alyssa McMillen, and she'll be talking about the power of one individual. Please welcome Alyssa.
Hello, my name is Alyssa McMillen, and this presentation will encompass the experience I have had personally with sustainability and environmentalism. I'm going to be laying out chronologically how I became concerned with global and national unsustainable practices and the overwhelmingly seeming obligation that I must make an effort to change it. Within the various slides, there will be an explanation and visual aid as to how one like you could approach being active in sustainable practices and influencing their community. I would like to start off with a quote from the famous anthropologist and activist Margaret Mead that is very inspiring. "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And when I discovered sustainability, it started on a whim. I enrolled in Biology 114 just because it was more appealing than the other more complicated sciences. And in the curriculum, we watched countless documentaries, one of them being The Genetic Roulette, that documents the health risks of genetically engineered foods, amongst others. We also learned about the industrialization of agriculture with the use of CAFOs and the confinement of way too many animals in one small place. We also learned about the overconsumption of natural and sometimes non-renewable resources such as plastic, wood, water, etc. And ultimately, we learned about how all of this contributes to the destruction of our environment in countless ways, from deforestation to air pollution and water pollution as well. And with all of these things happening, we have another huge issue that results from the lack of ecosystem, and that is mass extinctions. Every photo here on this slide is an image of an animal that has become extinct in the past 40 years, which is completely unacceptable. And with this, I felt really distraught, and I was really upset about all of the destruction going on. I didn't know what to do or who to reach out to. I just thought everything was hopeless, but I realized that I was not alone. And first, I started with myself. But I also had a big recollection on what I should do with my life to feel that I made a difference in the world. And with environmental destruction, the mass extinction of animals, etc., I also learned that this was a social justice issue. That not only are the animals going extinct, but our people are breathing in filthy air, those being the ones that are at the bottom of our economy and the lower class getting the most pollution in their neighborhoods as opposed to someone that had more money. So this is a big picture thing, and I realized that I must take action in every area possible. So I became a vegetarian. I started buying locally, organic. I started signing petitions that I agreed with, like the labeling genetically modified organisms, and etc. I also knew that I had to get in touch with people that are like-minded as I. And the famous film director Woody Allen once said that 80% of success is really simply just showing up. So I showed up to the environmental club here on campus. We did things such as prescribed burns, like you heard in the preliminary speech earlier. We did roadside cleanups and mulching here on campus in the woods. I joined the Sierra Club, which is a very large organization that was fighting against the Keystone XL pipeline in the Forward on Climate rally in 2013. I was one of 80,000 that marched in DC on this day. And through that, I became affiliated with our local chapter of the Sierra Club, the Central Illinois Healthy Community Alliance. And with them, I joined their Beyond Coal campaign to phase out our dirty and outdated coal plant, the Edwards coal plant here in Bartonville. I attended public hearings and was one of many to just be a number in who would combat these coal plants and make sure the EPA took action towards a renewable practice and not a filthy one that we had been practicing before. I ran petition tables and helped the members of our community have their voices heard as well. I attended press events that were aired on our weekly news, local news stations, and in our Peoria Journal-Star. This is just another press event that was right in front of the coal plant. I attended silent vigils that were just strictly to have moments of silence for the environment and make people aware that these things are going on. And I also actually protested as well in countless settings. This picture on the left is in New York City. The one in the middle is from the Keystone XL Forward on Climate rally I mentioned earlier. And the one on the right is just a child protesting, which our future generations are a very key part in preserving the environment, because without that environment, they will not survive. And most importantly, I gave my own testimony. I showed up to press events and let them know the information I had learned and what I thought that the Environmental Protection Agency should do to combat climate change and to start a transition towards a cleaner economy and our consumption of natural resources altogether. So since I can do it, I think many of you can do it as well. One thing that we have to be passionate about is the planet on which we live, and just one person can make a huge difference. This is a picture of Central Park in New York City in the Forward on Climate March just last year, I believe. And not like the 80,000 in DC, but this was 450,000 people that gathered in New York City. And with this, I will end with a quote by Rudyard Kipling. "For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack." Thank you.